Hey there, welcome into the College Basketball Bracket Science Podcast, your encyclopedia for the college basketball season. We have officially done it. It is day one of college hoops. Gonzaga, Baylor, Texas, Ohio State, all going on tonight, along with other great games going on. We finally made it through the long 6 or 7 months in preparation for this college basketball season. We have North Carolina at Kansas at Allen Fogg Fieldhouse on Friday. We've got a long season ahead, and this is just the beginning. Very exciting stuff around the college basketball landscape. In today's show, we are going to preview this week's slate of games. We all want to talk about the biggest games going on, and then we're going to go over our preseason rankings. Opinions changed. We have a new number one team. We released this on our socials on Saturday night. Go check those out on our social medias. It's on TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, at Bracket Science with 2 S's. Before we dive into the show, just a quick reminder to hit that like and subscribe button. We are growing and growing and growing. Appreciate every single one of you guys out there watching. Check out our website, bracketscience.org. Just 1 S in science. Early access to a lot of our content, along with our clothing line on there. Many good deals on there. Before we dive into the show, let's talk about the trivia question of the day.
Trivia time!
All right, so the trivia question of the day is, which team who finished the year last year with double-digit losses, so 10-plus losses, finished highest at KenPom's final rankings last season? So which team finished the year with 10-plus losses was the highest ranked team in terms of efficiency at KenPom last season? Think about that. We'll get to that answer at the end of the show. Quick, just housekeeping note, we are now going to start a new time frame sort of thing where we are going to try and go between 20 to 30 minutes per podcast, just trying to get through the information and not keep you here too long. No one wants to listen to an hour-long podcast anymore. So 20 to 30 minutes, we're going to try and keep things flowing here. But before we dive into the games to watch, let's get into a little bit of Beej's Breakdown, news and notes from around the college basketball world.
It's time for Beej's Breakdown.
All right, so the only thing in Beej's Breakdown to talk about is just one recruiting news. Darryn Peterson, for those who caught it on CBS Sports HQ, committed to Kansas. He was down to his final 4, and it was Kansas, Kansas State, Ohio State, and USC. My little homie from Canton, grew up in the same hometown, Darryn Peterson, commits to the Jayhawks. He's the number 3 recruit in the 2025 class, just behind AJ DeBonsa and Cameron Boozer. This is a huge pickup, legitimate scorer, 6'6" combo guard, going to be a huge help for this Kansas team next year. Bill Self adds a nice name, good name to watch next year, Darryn Peterson. All right, now let's dive into the games to watch.
Games to watch.
All right, starting today on Monday, November 4th, the games to watch. Now, we wanted to throw in some games that are starting at, noon, 3 o'clock. So, you can just binge watch all day. First game worth noting at 12 o'clock. It is part of the Field of 68 showcase, which will be featured on YouTube. It is the College of Charleston, led by Chris Mack now, taking on Southern Illinois. Charleston is favored by 2.5 in that game. Remember to check that game out on YouTube at 12 o'clock. So don't go looking on YouTube TV or Spectrum or anything. It is on YouTube. The second game of the Field of 68 showcase is one of my favorite games that we're going to get all week. St. Louis, led by Josh Schertz, Robbie Avila on St. Louis, taking on Santa Clara. Santa Clara favored by 1.5 in this game. This game is at 3 o'clock, also on YouTube. These will be on the Field of 68's YouTube. Santa Clara should be much improved. St. Louis should be much improved. Santa Clara giving 1.5 in this game. Going to be a fun matchup. Everyone check that out. 3 o'clock on YouTube. Now getting into some of the night games, some of the primetime games. Starting at 7 o'clock, number 13, Texas A&M travels to UCF in a true away game. Texas A&M is favored by 4.5 in this game. This game is on ESPN+. Texas A&M coming in with a lot of expectations this year. Wade Taylor IV, Manny Obaseki, traveling to a UCF team who is kind of a favorite pick as a sleeper in the Big 12 this year for many people. A lot of people across the media really like this UCF team. I don't, quite frankly. I like Texas A&M to win this game fairly easily at UCF. Now, a mid-major game that you guys should all know, Vermont, the favorite in the American East, takes on UAB at UAB, University of Alabama, Birmingham, who is actually picked to win the American this year. Now, Memphis is the favorite in the betting lines. UAB was picked in their media poll to win the conference this year. UAB is favored by 5 in this game. This game is at 7:30 on ESPN+. UAB is one of those teams that is a sneaky mid-major to make the Sweet 16, quite frankly, this year in March Madness. UAB getting a lot of buzz. Vermont, always the favorite in the American East. Good mid-major showdown there. Speaking of Memphis hosts Missouri just across the border there. This game is at 8 o'clock, also on ESPN+. Memphis is favored by 4.5 in this game. Missouri should be much improved. The additions of Tony Perkins, Mark Mitchell in a great freshman class. Memphis has all the talent in the world. Do they have the coaching for it? It has kind of been a disaster recently under Penny Hardaway, but can this be the year that they get back into the NCAA tournament and make some noise? Sticking in the American, South Florida, unfortunately, lost their coach, as we mentioned in the last show, just tragically. Amir Abdur-Rahim travels to number 21, Florida. Florida is favored by 10.5 in this game, taking on their in-state mate. This game is at 8:30, and it is on the SEC network. Nothing against Florida. I think the entire country is rooting on South Florida to make something happen here. Hopefully they do some sort of special, commemorative thing for Amir Abdur-Rahim. Florida, a lot of expectations going in this year. A lot of people really like Florida. South Florida, they flew under the radar last year and went 16-2 in the American. We're going to see what they can put together with, I can't imagine what those players are going through right now. This one, as mentioned, 8:30 on the SEC network. We'll also keep a note, see how Elijah Martin does. They're transferring from Florida Atlantic to Florida. He is the big transfer to know in that game. Moving on to the highlights of the night, starting at 10 o'clock. Yes, late for us Eastern folks. This game is on TNT. Number 19, Texas takes on the Ohio State Buckeyes. This game is in Las Vegas. Texas is favored by 2.5. Texas coming in with an extremely talented roster, but a lot of me players, it seems. Don't know much about Trey Johnson yet. What we do know is he can really score the basketball, 5-star freshman. They also brought in Arthur Kaluma, who needs the ball in his hand. Trayvon Mark needs the ball in his hands. Jordan Pope needs the ball in his hands. These guys can all really score the ball. If they can put it together, Texas can be really scary. If there's a lot of me ball, a lot of just one-on-one, could be ugly. Ohio State, on the other hand, led by Jake Diebler this year. They got a lot of buzz coming in. I thought they were going to be ranked in the preseason AP poll. They are not. In fact, didn't quite frankly get that many votes. I wouldn't have them ranked as well. Little sneak peek for our rankings that we're about to show. As soon as they put together this roster at Ohio State, now just a reminder, they bring back Bruce Thornton, who might be the most underrated player in all of college basketball, just because he was he was the best player on a team that wasn't too great the past couple of years at Ohio State. And they brought in Michi Johnson, a little bounce-back transfer, started at Ohio State, transferred to South Carolina, ended up back at Ohio State. They also brought in Aaron Bradshaw, who was a former 5-star, along with Sean Stewart from Duke, who was a highly rated recruit. And then they brought in Micah Parrish, who has done nothing but win at San Diego State in Brian Dutcher's system. So they have pieces. I'm a little lower on Ohio State than most people, I would say. I think Texas gets this job done, but it's just going to Texas could really win this game by 15 points. I also could see Ohio State a world where they just put it all together and it all works out for Ohio State, where Ohio State wins by 15 points. I would lean more towards Texas in this game, 100%. But this game might be more important to Ohio State, quite frankly. Ohio State, new coach, new system. They want to prove that they are Ohio State, world-famous Ohio State Buckeyes, as Gus Johnson says. They really want to get off to a good start and let people know that they are here. Texas, they've been a consistent top 25 team the last couple of years. I like Texas more in terms of their roster, but we'll see. This is going to be a fun one, 10 o'clock on TNT. Now, the game of the night is unfortunately at 11:30 on the Eastern time. This game is on ESPN, and it is number 8 Baylor taking on number 6 Gonzaga. This game is in Washington. It's in Spokane, but not technically a official home game. It's not at their main gym there, but it is KenPom labels it like a semi-home game, so take that as it means. Gonzaga is favored by 3.5 in this game. And what I will say about this game might be the first to 100. This is going to be an absolute offensive showcase. Baylor can really score the ball. They're really fast. I'm a little concerned about their defense. Gonzaga, we know from last year and just what they added in the transfer portal, they're really going to score the ball. I'm a little concerned about their defense as well. Great guard play we're going to see in this game. You got Jeremy Roach and VJ Edgecombe and Langston Love, all from Baylor. You got Ryan Nemhard. You got Caleb Battle. I mean, you got just some dudes in this game going up against each other. Nolan Hickman, and then the matchup down low, Graham Ike versus Norchad Omier should be a lot of fun as well. I would lean Gonzaga in this game. Now I'm higher on Baylor than a lot of people this season. I'm also higher on Gonzaga. I just love these two coaches going at it opening night. Scott Drew, Mark Few deserve all the credit in the world. I would lean Gonzaga just because it's going to feel like a home environment up there in Washington. This is going to be a fun one. Stay up late. You'll be up late. It will be worth it. This is going to be a fun offensive showcase. Now, Tuesday, the only matchup to know is Harris v. Trump. That's the only game. I mean, there's nothing worth noting on Tuesday at all because of the election. They don't want to even try and compete with that, which is just a smart move. Now, Wednesday, we have a lot of powerhouses playing. Now, they're playing some, just decent mid-major teams. So we're just going to go through this. A lot of big spreads you'll notice on this graphic as you're seeing on YouTube. But we'll just go through it. A couple of these mid-major teams are favored to win their conference, just like Wagner. Wagner takes on number 25 Rutgers. This will be the first game for Dylan Harper and Ace Bailey in the regular season. This game is at 6 o'clock on the Big Ten Network. Rutgers is favored by 17 in this game. Sacred Heart takes on the two-time defending champion UConn Huskies, number 3 team in the country. This game is at 7 o'clock on FS1. Everyone should tune into this game just to watch what is going to be different about this UConn team this year. We'll see. They're favored by 32. They're going to blow them out, but we just want to see how that offense flows, how that defense flows, and just the masterclass that Dan Hurley does. At 8 o'clock on ESPN Plus, Vermont travels to number 11 Auburn. Rough starting stretch for Vermont. Vermont, bear in mind, may be without their best player these first two games. TJ Long is his name. They start off at UAB, who's like the darling right now, and then number 11 Auburn. Tough stretch. Love to see it by Vermont, though. Reminder, this game's at 8 o'clock on ESPN Plus. Auburn is favored by 16 in this game. Lipscomb, the favorite in the ASUN, taking on number 16 Arkansas. Arkansas favored by 15 in this game. This game is also at 8 o'clock on ESPN Plus, so bring 2 TVs out. You're going to want to check these games out. We'll see how Arkansas does in their first game under John Calipari. Now, SIUE takes on number 17 Indiana in an in-state showdown. Indiana favored by 24 in this game. This game is at 8 o'clock as well. This game is on the Big Ten Network. A lot of hype surrounding Indiana this year. It'll be fun to watch them in action in their first game, see what their lineup's going to look like. That's a huge question for Indiana this season. Now, Oakland, the defending darlings last year who upset the Kentucky Wildcats and John Calipari, they travel to Boise State. This game is at 9 o'clock on the Mountain West Network. Boise State is favored by 15. I absolutely love Boise State this year. I think Boise State is going to be a top 25 team come the end of the year, so this is going to be a fun game to watch. I like Boise State to cover 15 in that game. Moving on, UC San Diego travels to San Diego State, who has dominated the Mountain West. This game is on the Mountain West Network at 10 o'clock, so 9 o'clock and 10 o'clock, Mountain West after dark. Back again like it never left. Going to be fun to watch. Thursday, nothing of note. No really good games. There's a couple games that if you really want to tune in, we'll probably post a graphic on Instagram. So there'll be something to watch, but it's nothing that if you're not a diehard college basketball fan to watch. So moving on to Friday, November 8th. The big one starts off the night. It's going to be fun. Number 9 North Carolina travels to Allen Fieldhouse to take on the number 1 Kansas Jayhawks. Kansas favored by 5 in this game. Now, this will be Kansas's second game. For those wondering, they do not open with North Carolina. They take on Howard, I'm pretty sure, or Elon, one of the two. This game is at 7 o'clock on ESPN2 on Friday. North Carolina at Kansas. Wow. What a backcourt matchup we are going to have in this game. Elliot Cadeau, RJ Davis, Seth Trimble, who is popping off as of late, DeJuan Harris, AJ Storr, Rylan Griffin, Zeke Mayo. This is going to be a lot of fun. Will Kansas dominate down low with Dickinson? A lot of questions about the front court for UNC. We're going to find out. Also at 7 o'clock now, North Carolina and Kansas should be up on your screen, but there are also some other decent games going on. Morehead State takes on number 20 Cincinnati. Morehead State has dominated the OVC the past couple years. Number 20 Cincinnati is favored by 23 in this game. This game is at 7 o'clock on ESPN+. Also at 8 o'clock on ESPN+, Arkansas State out of the Missouri Valley takes on number 2 Alabama. Alabama favored by 19. Arkansas State is the favorite to win the Missouri Valley this season. Number 2 Alabama, a lot of hype. How many points will they score? Only a 19-point spread there. Seems like a little low, but that's how highly thought of Arkansas State is going to be this year. Moving on, at 8:30, Santa Clara, we're going to talk about them again, takes on Arizona State. Arizona State favored by 3 in this game. This game is on the Flow Sports Network. I'm not quite frankly sure what that means. I haven't looked into it. I'm going to try and find it out, though, so we can hopefully get a glimpse of Bobby Hurley's squad there and a Santa Clara squad that is supposed to be very good. Do not be surprised if Santa Clara wins that basketball game. At 9 o'clock on Peacock, George Mason travels to number 18 Marquette. George Mason had a sneaky good year last year. A lot of people talked about it. George Mason and George Washington were both pretty good last year. Number 18 Marquette is favored by 11 in this game. That does not feel like enough points if you ask me, but we'll find out. At 11 o'clock, a couple real fun ones. New Mexico takes on number 22 UCLA. UCLA favored by 4. This game is on the CBS Sports Network, reminder, at 11 o'clock. Also at 11 o'clock on ESPN+, Bradley, the darling of the Missouri Valley this year, takes on Washington State. Washington State is favored by 1 in that game. 3 days. Those are the games to know. It all starts tonight. Now we're going to take a quick break, and then we're going to dive into Beege's Best Bets.
It's time for Beege's Best Bets.
Alrighty, diving into Beege's Best Bets. These are in no particular order of the best bets. Let's start off, as we mentioned, we hinted to some of these already. Number 18, Marquette, only an 11-point favor over George Mason. I think Cam Jones goes off in this game. I think Marquette solidifies itself as one of the teams to beat in the Big East again. Give me them at minus 11 against George Mason. As we mentioned already, again, Boise State minus 15 over Oakland seems like a very good spot. Now, I do not have the over-under of the Baylor-Gonzaga game yet. If it's anything below 160 points, I would bet the over in that game. I would also take UAB minus 5 over Vermont in that opening night matchup. Texas minus 2.5 over Ohio State. I do think Texas gets that job done. Santa Clara plus 3 versus Arizona State in that matchup on Friday night. And then also on Friday night, UCLA minus 4 versus New Mexico. I do not think that is enough points. Now, before we move on to preseason power rankings, I want to clarify myself. I said that Arkansas State was the favorite in the Missouri Valley, and it is just now dawning on me that they are in the Sun Belt. They are the favorite in the Sun Belt. Excuse me. Apologies for that, because Bradley, who was on my mind, is the favorite in the Missouri Valley. Arkansas State, favorite in the Sun Belt. Now let's dive into our preseason power rankings.
Power rankings.
All right, so we're just going to go through these. We're not going to dive too deep into them. I'm just going to note some of the things I changed last second, and then we do have a tier list that we're going to talk about here. Let's start with the tier list, quite frankly, and then we will dive into where I ranked all these teams. In Tier 1, the absolute juggernauts, I got Houston, Kansas, Alabama, UConn, Duke, and Gonzaga. Tier 2, second-tier juggernauts could legitimately pick to win the national championship, and they wouldn't hate it whatsoever. Iowa State, Baylor, Arizona, North Carolina, and Auburn. Tier 3 could realistically really compete for a title. Arkansas, Creighton, Texas A&M, Purdue, Indiana, UCLA, and Texas. And then Tier 4, deep run potential. These teams could all make really deep runs in March, maybe make a big run to the Final Four. Kentucky, Tennessee. Yes, Tennessee, I will mention them real quick. I have them in Tier 4. I have real concerns about Tennessee's offense this year. I was talking about this for a while, and then I know it's just an exhibition game, but I saw it. If Zakai Ziegler is supposed to be your main scorer, I don't really like it. Darlin Stone-Dubar played like 5 minutes in that game for some reason. I thought he was kind of going to be step into a huge role. I have real concerns about Tennessee, so if that's why you're wondering why they're so low, now they're still a great team. They're going to be terrific on defense, as they always are. Zakai Zeigler is terrific on defense, but I still have them in deep run potential. I don't think they're a top 4 seed come March Madness this year. Hot take. Also in this conversation, Marquette, Xavier, St. John's, Texas Tech, Ole Miss, Michigan State, Wake Forest, Boise State, Grand Canyon. Yes, Grand Canyon, the Lopes, led by Bryce Drew and Tyon Grant Foster as their star player. Cincinnati, Oregon, Michigan, Florida, and Illinois. Alrighty. Now, let's go through 1 through 30 just real quick. Labeling them down the line, our preseason power rankings. Number 1, I moved Houston to number 1. I switched Houston and Kansas. I went Kansas, Alabama, Houston. I switched it to Houston, Alabama, Kansas. The more I think about Kansas, they're great. Their roster is great. I like Houston a little bit more. It has nothing to do with Kansas. It's more to do with Houston and Alabama. I trust them a little bit more as of right now. Houston, Alabama, Kansas. I did move Duke up to number 4. Gonzaga at 5. UConn at 6. Iowa State at 7. Baylor at 8. I had Baylor 7 and Iowa State 8. I flipped them. I'm starting to come around on Iowa State a little bit more. Taman Lipsey and Keyshawn Gilbert are so good. And the reason I moved Baylor a little bit back is, as I mentioned, I'm a little worried about their defense. At 9, I have North Carolina, 10, Arizona, 11, Auburn, 12, Arkansas, 13, Texas A&M, 14, Purdue, 15, I have Texas Tech, who I am so bought in on this year. Texas Tech being unranked in the AP poll should have been a crime. Texas Tech is going to be great this year. I'm in on the Texas Tech Raiders. UCLA at 16, Indiana at 17, Texas at 18, Creighton at 19, 20, Kentucky, 21, Tennessee, 22, Marquette, 23, Xavier, 24, St. John's. I mean, put these in just about any order you want. I know people are going to have Tennessee higher. Marquette, Xavier, St. John's, coin flip. I don't care who you put 2, 3, 4 in the Big East. Cincinnati at 25. Cincinnati in that conversation as well. I'm like, I have Cincinnati at 25. I love Cincinnati this year. They should be up a little higher. But teams 14 through like 29, put them in any particular order. They could flip-flop anywhere. Ole Miss at 26, same thing. They're going to be really good, very good offensively this year. Florida at 27 feels way too low, but I couldn't move them up above any of these teams, quite frankly. Oregon at 28, Boise State at 29, and Grand Canyon at 30. Now, teams I strongly considered was Wake Forest. I want to see Wake Forest get the job done first. I know some people have them like top 20. I think that's a little high. I do like Wake Forest. I think they get in the tournament. I think they're like a 7 to 9 seed, though. Michigan and Michigan State. I'm a little lower on Michigan State than most people, a little higher on Michigan than most people, I would say. So that is the power rankings for the upcoming season, according to us. That's going to do it for our show today. Let's answer the trivia question. Remember, the trivia question was, which team who finished the year with double-digit losses last season finished highest at KenPom's final rankings last year? Give you a second to think about it. The answer is Creighton. Creighton. They ended up 11th at KenPom. They were 25-10. I didn't know they lost double-digit games last year. Next was Marquette. They were 13th at 27-10. And my choice, who I thought it would have been, was Alabama. They were 14th, 25-12, just behind Marquette and Creighton. Give us a couple days. We will be right back to discuss all of these results that we just talked about and the games to watch. And then we're going to preview an absolute giant weekend ahead of us. We will podcast Friday, late Friday night, and this will be available on Saturday morning. Remember to like and subscribe before you leave. Check out our social medias and our website. Thanks for tuning in. Have a great rest of your week. Enjoy the college basketball start of the season. It is here. We made it. See you later. Take care. Are you looking to support your school with a nice college t-shirt that is not only stylish, but also comfortable? I have got the shirt for you. Take a look at our basic approach to a t-shirt without all the big logos, strictly getting to the point, just showing your team's name. These shirts are comfortable, they're stylish, they're basic, there's not too much going on. They come in the colors white and gray. They are a great deal right now. Go check them out on our website, bracketscience.org, link in the description.